Welcome, Chefeteers. Thank you for joining us today. Today we are back with our professional organizer, Pam. Last time we discussed organizing as a team whenever your team is made up of different adults in the house. Today we're going to talk about organizing as a team whenever your teammates are children. So as we jump in, Pam, I remember you sharing with us that when you were 7 or 8 years old, you organized your mom's kitchen. Now, being a child with 3 younger brothers, did they have the same priorities around organizing as you did? And how did you manage that?
Well, they did not at all. They're all very different, and having things in their place is not something that I experienced them as kids. So my haven was my room. So I could keep my room very orderly. But when it came to my brothers and their rooms, there would be toys everywhere. And I do not recall organizing them, putting things away. So I think that I just realized, everybody's different. And I started to see that the way I felt comfortable in certain spaces was to have some order. But then with 3 brothers, it was very fun, loud, lots of activity. And so in that area, I was able to be flexible and just go with the flow.
Sounds like fun.
It was, yes, it was.
Well, let's start with the youngest kids and then go up and kind of talk about some ideas with each age group of how to introduce them to organizing and kind of get them on their way. So for ages 6 and under, what are some good introductory lessons to organizing?
So starting with the groceries arriving at the house, that's where even the youngest kids can help. So instead of giving them a whole bag, you might pull out the cereal box and have them carry that to the kitchen. And then you can say, okay, now where does that go? And teach them to either put that away if they can reach it, or it goes right on the counter and then an adult can put it away. So also things like the resealable bags, those boxes are not heavy, and things like the kind bars or some other kind of thing. So the idea is to think of 1 or 2 things that the youngest children can carry to the kitchen. Then while you're in the kitchen, I think of the kitchen organizing partly, of course, is loading and unloading the dishwasher. So being able to have them unload plastic things. And also what's fun is, since they're already lower to the ground, you want to let them go ahead and put the, after you've washed the cookie sheet, you want to have them help you put that away. And a lot of people put their cookie sheet in the drawer that's under the oven. And then other items are pots and pans. Usually those are in the lower. And so that's a way to help with the dishwashing. And then let's move to the fun part of food preparation. So then what's so great there is kids love to watch and do what the adults are doing. So you can certainly have a plastic container and you put a little bit in there, and you have them, they're seeing you mix, so they get to practice mixing. And especially with kids in the kitchen, you want to be very patient, not worried about them making a mess. And so sometimes you could, whatever works for you, put down a towel, or sometimes even take a plastic grocery bag or a kitchen trash bag, and you lay that down.
Moving to our 7 to 12-ish age group, so older elementary and then kind of through middle school there. Many kids around this age, they're starting to mature and gain responsibility, and a lot of times they're looking for more ways to display that responsibility. So what are some ways that you can give them some ownership over tasks in the kitchen, and they can take pride in their work.
So with organizing, I think of things like the beans and the soup. You could say to them, hey, would you be willing to go in there and put all the vegetables, canned vegetables together? And so you can actually have them take on a task like that. The other thing is, I notice a lot of people who drink tea have many, many tea bags. So that might also be a thing, is to ask the child to, what could we do here? Some people will have a basket that they put all the teas in. Some people have all the teas in a cabinet, but then that is hard. And you remember when I talked about a tray? So also you could use a plate or a small tray, and you have all the tea boxes, and then you'd be able to pull it out and then look at everything. So those are some places I can think where you could get somebody to take on a project in the kitchen. And another one I just thought of is, of course, the items that you use around the stove versus other spoons and spatula and all that. Sometimes those things get mixed up with the regular silverware. So having somebody just go through and sort that out. And then the cool thing is, then the adult gets to say, show me what you did, and then say, oh my gosh, that looks terrific. You know, we all love to be appreciated for what we can do.
Mm-hmm. And now moving on to high schoolers. So these kids, it may or may not feel this way, but they're going to fly the nest soon. So what are some great tasks that they can practice now at home that are going to set them up for success when they move out on their own?
Yes, with teenagers, what's really going to help is choices. So you can start the conversation with, you know, hey, yeah, you're going to be going off to college, or you're going to be moving to live with Aunt Sally and work. And would you like me to teach you this week? Would you like to learn how to make scrambled eggs and toast, or toasted cheese? So in other words, you find out what are this child's, you know, some favorite foods or some basics, and being able to have them practice this cooking with you. Oh my goodness, it very much gives them that sense of, you know, I can handle this. You're just so excited to be out there on your own. And then sometimes you get scared, but most times you just don't know what you're up, you know, what's ahead. Thank goodness you don't know what's ahead. And so things like starting with the food, some of their favorite foods, being able to have them learn how to do those. I would also think the parent would feel like, okay, I'm continuing to do my job for my kid. You know, I don't want them to go out there and have to eat fast food. You know, that they could go to the store, pick out things, come home, and put together some food that will help their brain and their body.
And cooking isn't over when you're just done cooking. You know, it's also the cleaning part too. So having, you know, that high schooler cook and enjoy, but then go back and clean everything and then put it away, I'm sure is kind of instilling that habit.
Absolutely, absolutely. They've seen the adults in the kitchen doing that, and we know you can see something, but it's different when you are doing it. And yes, being able, that's so great that to be able to practice cleaning up, because you learn like if you leave certain things, they're just going to stick. And there's certain things that if you put in the sink and add some water, your life is so much easier.
Let it soak. Not for 4 days, but let it soak for a little bit.
Let it soak. Yeah, so that's it. So with teenagers, it's choices and let it soak.
Also, with this age group, communication can be a little extra challenging. So do you have any tips for that?
Well, yes, of course, it's about planting a seed. So you wouldn't want to just bust in and say, hey, guess what? I got this plan and you're going to learn how to cook all these things and things like, it's going to go best when you pick your time and you say, hey, could this work for you? And so it's really about being patient and getting the buy-in. And even choices like, you say, hey, I'd like to show you I'd like to have you practice chopping things up. And even there's a choice, like, do you want to slice the green pepper so that you have rings, or do you want to chop into little pieces? Things like that can also build the ability for them to be in the same room with you and not get irritated, because their nervous system is so activated. They've got so many things going on, and parents and the adults in their life are going to be the ones that are going to get the anger or get the frustration, because they're learning how to modulate their feelings, and it's safest to take it out on the adults. And as an adult, it's hard to see this wonderful child acting like this. And the most important thing is to remember that they're not doing it on purpose. This is actually one of the ways that they're practicing being an adult.
Interesting. So I was very fortunate, and I grew up in an organized home. My dad hates clutter, and my mom is a big labeler, so we always knew where things were supposed to go. I'm sure as we were kids, my sister and I probably did not follow that all the time, but I remember mostly doing that. Not everyone grows up in an organized home, though, and that can sometimes make people feel maybe behind, or an added layer of uncertainty around being able to do this. So what would you say to someone who feels hesitant to start because they feel like they're already behind?
Oh, yes. Well, number one is to give yourself a break, is to be kind to yourself. Organizing is a skill. It's not something that you're born with. You can be born with a brain that likes order, but as far as how to get that order there and maintain it, that's a skill. That's something you practice. So start small, like a drawer, and what you do is you open the drawer and you take everything out. So there's something about looking at things one-on-one versus in the drawer. It's all about perspective in life. And so it's even that way with organizing. And so you pull everything out, wipe the drawer, and then what you're looking for, what are your favorite things and how do you want to see them? So most people would like to see their wooden spoons together, their spatulas together. And so you start like that. Think of like with like, or you can think about them as being friends. You want to hang out with the people that are like them. And so when you're in the kitchen and you're reaching for something, you reach in, and then you want a big spoon, you got most of the big spoons together. So that's the way to do that, and then put things back, and then celebrate, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a high five, dance around, because this is a skill and it gets easier and it actually can be fun. That's why I encourage people to put on music or their favorite TV show. You want to set yourself up for success. And for the kids in the kitchen, if they see you having fun and getting in there and getting out and doing other things, then that is a wonderful way for them to say, well, I want to be like them. The younger the kids, the shorter, everyone knows, the shorter the attention span. So one thing that can work is that you do give everybody a job, and when it comes to everybody a job, also choice. In other words, you can take pieces of paper and write, dumping the vegetables in the salad. And then another one would be bringing the bread to the table. And you can actually write those on pieces of paper and then put them in a bowl, and then you have everybody pick. So that's one way to make, okay, this, like, these are the elements we need to get the dinner or the meal put together. And then the younger kids, I think it's really terrific if close to the kitchen you've got crayons and paper, and everybody involved does have at least one toy there, so that they go into the kitchen and they're helping doing their task, and then they would drift back to doing, playing, so that it's like a back and forth. And as time goes by, each kid has a longer attention span and can do more things at one time in the kitchen.
So not like fighting them, losing attention, but giving them a quick, easy alternative that as soon as they aren't happy, or, what's the word?
Engaged, like they're not engaged.
Yes. As soon as they aren't being engaged in the kitchen, they can easily just go play with the toy, and then come right back, and there's no anger or friction there.
Right, exactly, because they're getting what they need, and then the adults in the kitchen are still coordinating and getting things done, and can call somebody back when they think of something else they could do. And again, say, hey, would you like to help with this? And being able to have your kids be able to say yes or no to you. They've been saying no a lot, but the terrific thing is that you can ask them yes or no, and you really are okay with whatever answer. So that's terrific for the relationship. And then the other thing about environment would be, I know that some people will sing and dance while they're in the kitchen. So that can be fun. Either make up songs or put on some music in the background. And so try it out, see how it does. And it could even be themed. If you're having pasta, you would have, or you might even have something like Ratatouille. What's the Disney movie?
Ratatouille.
Yes, and have that going on in the background or something, so just to mix it up and think about how can we make this even more fun. And then I know you've got your cell phone, and so don't hesitate to take pictures, even like maybe once a month, to be like, okay, we're going to do a photo shoot on our meal. And so you show everybody, and you show people doing different parts. And those of us who love scrapbooking, wouldn't that be adorable? You could do a whole page or two just on this one meal, because these really are events. Now with COVID, the events at home are what we've got, and we can really milk them for the joy.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for chatting with us today, and thank you for all of these great ideas about getting the kids on your organizing team and really allowing them to display their growing skill of organizing. We will see you next time. Thank you, Chefeteers. We'll chat again soon.